Let's do this.
Welcome over into the environment and season side. I am joined by three absolutely awesome members of the team. Tristan, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Tristan Snodgrass. I'm the lead environment artist here at Intrepid Studios.
Absolutely. We also have
Brian Gans, lead tech artist.
And, of course, the amazing...
I'm Kat Neri, and I am the audio lead at Intrepid.
Yay! So, we actually pulled off some fun feats this year in showcasing to the community some pretty exciting stuff, one of which was the Seasons Showcase. And we did that in the Riverlands biome, is that right?
Correct. That was the first biome that we actually implemented the actual tech that Brian and Hal and James actually worked on
Right.
all together. So.
And talk to me a little bit...
Okay, so Seasons, right? I know what you're thinking. Oh, 5 seconds in, you paused the video. Shut up. Okay, shut up, please. Seasons, in my opinion, will be game-changing, right? Because think about it. When other MMOs do their holiday events, or when a new season rolls around, you expect the holiday event, you do it maybe once, twice, and then you get back to what you're doing normally. Seasons looks like it could be used to really shake up what you're doing. I mean, imagine... I think they may have mentioned something about being cold and stuff, and having to wear warmer clothes. And I think that'd be pretty cool, having to have like a pair of winter gear ready so you don't accidentally freeze. I think that's pretty cool. I also think it's pretty cool how the entire world's going to change when a new season comes. That's going to be great. Just overall, very good.
About that tech, what did it entail?
We're just touching every single component of Unreal, where a lot of things had to be harmonized, like the volume cloud stuff, and the particle effects for the rain and the snow. I think I mentioned it in the live stream for the thing. And but yeah, there's just so many parts to it. Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing to see. Like, we talked about it during, of course, the demonstration, that I've never personally experienced any type of tech like that in an MMORPG before, where you actually get to see the biome change in front of your eyes on a seasonal basis.
Right.
How difficult was that to achieve, and how much did moving over to Unreal 5, we just talked about in the previous segment, moving over to Unreal 5 help with that?
I think it helped with it a lot. I think a lot of the cases in Unreal, the solve you're looking for is a button press or a checkbox or something,
Right.
but there are a lot of different systems to harmonizing gameplay implications and it's probably like one of the hardest things is the planning out of how to start it so that the whole approach is future-proof and does everything you want it to do or might want it to do.
Right. Yeah, and that of course has implications on the audio side, because as an environment changes, of course the ambience doesn't sound the same.
Yep.
Those tracks have to change. How was that implementing?
I mean, first, doing season tech is something I wanted to do for like 20 years in the game industry. So when I got to see what the artists were doing, I was really excited to work on this. You would think that there's just 4 seasons, and so you make your 4 sounds of summer, winter, fall, spring. But we're going to go high tech, and we're going to do 8 variations that seamlessly go through. Ideally, you won't hear the changes because they'll be so seamless and they'll just kind of go through. Yeah, it's something you don't get to see in the live streams right now because you do changes in 30 seconds.
Right.
So
That sounds great. Like, honestly, because, eventually you will probably get bored of hearing the same sound over and over. And having it be, also kind of changing just a bit along with the environment, that is absolutely incredible, in my opinion. Right? That just it may not do much gameplay-wise, but just in bringing the world to life, feeling like it's an actual breathing, living world, that does something.
So when we do the sounds for them, and as the audio team continues to grow, like right now, I went out and recorded the rare rain in San Diego a couple of weeks
so
ago.
Good. I
And
love
yeah,
listening
so
to
that kind of stuff gets into the game. And as it grows, we'll go do more field recording. We try to make as much custom sounds as we can that fit the environment that we see.
And I, of course, haven't received yet your itinerary of all the places in the world you plan to travel to collect.
Yeah. I will be asking for reimbursement. I can't wait when I go to Fiji and
Yes, exactly.
I am more than happy to travel all over
to collect the perfect references for the different types of assets.
Tree, maybe we can get it.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, talk to me a little bit about that. What were some of the inspirations? I know James did a lot of work on the seasonal showcase for those assets, how do you guys kind of derive what you're going to fill those biomes with?
So first, it was just trying to find some real-world references that we could take as, inspiration. Then, of course, we do get concept images derived from that add the fantasy flair that we're going to have, right? So then, we want to do real-world, but we're also doing high fantasy, kind of elements to it. So they chose Wales as essentially the biome for this, which is basically like where my family is from. So I was like, all right, we're going with this.
I remember seeing your shots that you took while you were in Wales, and you were posting them all throughout the art channels. And you're like, all right, this is great for this. This is great for this.
And when we need more references, I called up my mom and I was like, hey, you want to go out to the garden, take some photos? They want to know what the ground looks like during winter. I was like, well, I can get you that right now.
Do you fill out any Jira tasks for her when you ask her to do that stuff?
Yes, she's still asking for her money, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. She's retired, she's okay. But yeah, so then we moved on to the desert biome after that. And so that wasn't necessarily seasonal tech implementation right there, but we had a whole bunch of stuff to kind of think about how we wanted to approach seasonal tech from a very different environment.
Right, especially like the one as desolate as a desert.
Right, and so how do we make that environment change over 4 biomes and make it feel like unique and interesting and different, but also not just do a traditional desert. So we'd like to make like the winters maybe slightly different that you might see in a desert.
I know, we talked a little bit about that.
And there's some cool stuff that we've done for things that might come down the line, but one of the things that we wanted to do was also out here in Anza Borrego, we get the desert super blooms, which is where everything turns into like this beautiful painting of color. The flower blooms are just mind-blowing.
Beautiful.
So there's some stuff that we have been trying to make happen.
I feel like Ashes of Creation will have such a strong drive to explore. Like, there are a few games that really have really pushed that drive in me to go explore. Most of the time I'm like, okay, do quest, go to quest, get quest done, move on, and I'm done. I'm good. And rinse, repeat, do dungeons, do raids, stuff like that. But Ashes of Creation, I think I'm going to spend a lot of time exploring. Because, just all those different environments. Want to see, right, it's winter now. Let's go see what my hometown looks like during winter. Oh, wow, that's really cool. Oh, hey, there's polar bears now that I can go slay. I think that's just going to be absolutely game-changing.
That is going to probably blow people's minds even more than we've already done with the Riverland.
Absolutely, and I think that people are going to be really excited to see that stuff. I think just the glimpse that we got actually at the desert area, that desert biome, there's already, just such beauty in that you did with the oasis and the tech across the rolling winds over the sand dunes. Talk to me a little bit about how you kind of accomplished the winds for the sand dunes.
There's a couple of techniques. I think a lot of times the environment artist will take a stab at what they want to do, and then I'll pick it up and work it in, massage it in a little bit better with some of the systems that are in there already.
Make it a little more functional than what an artist might do.
And performance.
Yes, performance well.
But yeah, they know, they have an idea what they want in their eye, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. Exploration seems like it'll be super neat. Yeah, and it honestly does. Like, looking over here, let's see if there's a chest over here. Let's see what's over there. Whoa, look at the sun going through the stones. That's super cool. I feel like I'm also going to fill up a lot of my hard drive with screenshots. Like, this seems like a game that will give you so many screenshot-worthy moments. And it also seems, from what we're seeing, just this single character model, that armor will also be pretty cool. That's great. Okay, I love it when my character can look drippy and overall be strong. Like, that's the main issue. It's not a main issue with Destiny, but, like, when it comes to armor in Destiny 2, until, you're maxed out light level, you can't really look drippy, because you need that power. WoW, it feels a lot easier. You can easily transmog. Destiny, it's a grind if you want to transmog.
Yeah, I get it, and let's kind of use that and a particle effect to do that as well, and it's kind of like use a different system, but in the same way that they're envisioning. I try to cover like all the different things Unreal can do, like the grass, the foliage, and the virtual textures and everything. And there's a lot of ways to do things, but there's often the best way to do something, and it's kind of like put that in there. Like the heat distortion was done one way. It's just, let's put that in the particle system.
And they all kind of layer on top of each other, these different systems that you're utilizing.
Yeah, if you take one out, then the whole scene just kind of
falls apart.
loses that full vibe.
And now, of course, you know, we have certain types of weather events that are, of course, going to impact audio as well for these areas. Like we talked a bit about one of the boss designs that are intended for the desert biome, having this kind of whirlwind of sandstorm. And when players get inside of those things, how does that kind of change audio?
Yeah, no, Brian's been awesome to work with because he's built a lot of systems that can drive the audio dynamically. So I'll go out and record various levels of sounds, and then they'll procedurally.
Yeah, see, that's great, right? Like, that really brings it together that, oh crap, I'm inside this, like, spinning dust storm. Aw, frick, bro, the boss has me trapped in his little, like, water bubble. Like, that is going to... It's not gameplay, but just in bringing the world to life, making it feel more immersive. Like, there's nothing like that in World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy. I think that's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Change in the game to really make you feel like you're in there. Even the same with the trees. If you go under the trees right now with the wind, you know, the little leaves will kind of go up and down with the wind parameters that Brian set up, and it's really, really neat and really interactive.
And not just the winds. I noticed that as you know, I kind of move through the game and I get close to some of these particular foliage actors, I hear birds chirping or some type of cue that just happens in the background.
The birds are super cool too because they're going to be assigned to certain trees, and sometimes you'll find that really cool bird, you'll want to sit under it, and then sometimes you'll find a bird that maybe you don't want to be near, and so maybe you'll chop down that tree and then take away his home or move away.
That's terrible.
But it's going to be really cool.
That is.
That's great. I personally really love birds, and just having that sense of, I want to kind of go. Yeah, it definitely is a lot of detail for the audio, but that's what's really bringing together the game. I mean, the game just looks great. Audio's gonna be fantastic. I'm very excited. Of course, we do have to stay a little skeptical of if it will play well. Of course, but I think it will. Yeah, but as someone who loves birds, I think that's going to be a cool pastime. Like, it's late, I don't really feel like running any hard content. Let me just go exploring for a bit. Oh, hey, look, there's a new bird I haven't seen before. Let me get a screenshot with it. That, I think, it's just going to be great for generating a bunch of pastime you have. As long as the game doesn't feel like it constantly needs to be a chore. Right? Like Destiny sometimes can feel like an absolute chore. Do my weeklies. Do the double rep stuff. Do this, do that. World of Warcraft recently has been feeling less like a chore, and I love it. There's been a lot of stuff I like doing in my pastime, blacksmithing, all that. And yeah, I think it's just going to be great. And overall, just add a lot of stuff to the game.
It's actually very genius. I noticed also, as we were kind of showcasing some of the Ranger footage that design and the combat engineers have been working on, there was that almost pollen-like fog that was just throughout the level that, created that almost morning dust look in that area.
Yeah, one of our newer artists, John Waynick, has actually been implementing a lot of those kind of features to get, that's just another atmospheric element that completely adds to the mood of the
Right.
scene, right?
And those are seasonal as well, right? Like, those are going to be specific, tuned to specific seasons. So,
and not just seasons, but also weather in
Right.
general.
Yeah.
So you might get a foggy morning. There's been several pretty amazing games recently that I've played that have some of these elements, and that really changes the vibe of when you're running around. Like, one day to another is completely different.
and that's a great point. Like, we're all gamers.
See, that's great. Just I'm sorry I'm pausing so much, but just the level of detail, watching your favorite area that you and the boys were just questing in or walking through or fishing at a couple of months ago from the super green flowery area go to like this super snowy area, that's just great. It makes you want to run back and see, oh, I wonder how different it looks. How different does this area look? Oh, look up there. Oh, cool. It overall just adds so much in my opinion.
We all play games in our spare time. That's why we're in this industry, is because we love games. We like seeing the smiles on people's faces when we make something that excites them. How much inspiration do you draw from the games that you play?
That's a tough question because there's so many different types of games that you can
Right.
play, obviously, and I don't really stick to one.
And
but-
none of them have a shortage of awe-inspiring feats that their dev
Right.
teams accomplish as well.
Yeah, and like for me in particular, Red Dead Redemption
Oh, it's such a great game.
is an amazing game where I could just ride around and enjoy the nature.
Oh, it's
all
so
day.
great. Or the
Yeah.
shenanigans that the horses have.
Yeah, all the little things, But like that specific game has a lot of atmospheric elements for
It's
when I'm running
beautiful.
around. I just really enjoy, like, not just the visual elements, but then the sound does kick in, and
Oh, yeah.
sound to me is one of the things that really truly sells like a movie or a
Oh,
game,
yeah.
especially the music and such like that. But like if the audio doesn't feel right, then
Absolutely. I mean, that was something that was big for me, not just in gaming, but like I find in many different forms of entertainment, especially media, television, movies, like that the soundtrack, the music that accompanies what's happening, more often than not, elicits stronger emotions from me than the visuals or the dialogue.
right.
My goal for Vera Audio is you should be able to find a nice little safe place to sit down and leave it on in the background as a nice ambient audio generator, and you can go work on your thesis or whatever else you're working on, or just nice little go to bed to it. And I
we
want
need-
you to like
There we
feel like
go.
you're always in there.
That's what we
10-hour
need to-
loops of Vera.
That's what I'm. Yes, remember we used to
YouTube.
talk about that so long
Yeah,
ago.
of course, we'll do that.
We should totally throw up like a YouTube loop that people can just leave on. Oh, that would be a great idea.
That's one way to fall asleep.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we kind of, look forward into 2023, what are some of the areas that you guys have on your excited list of things to tackle, right? What's the biome you're looking most forward to?
So the redwood forest is something that we're aiming to push into.
Oh my
We've
God.
already kind of started pushing into it
Yes.
slowly, but just being surrounded by giant, massive trees that just don't seem to be making any sense of why they exist. Like when you're walking through a redwood forest in real life, like up in Northern California, it's awe-inspiring, and there's a lot
I've
of
been
cool
there. It
seasonal
is
stuff that you can do with that.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
So that's my
Yeah, I was talking to Design a little bit about group gameplay dynamics when we instituted the gathering tech, and having specific assets that require multiple players in order to actually chop down a particular tree.
Yeah, I don't think
And
you can
with-
really take down a redwood with this simple
That's
one
a
person
tiny
axe.
axe.
Yeah.
6 swings, we're good.
We'll see how that plays out. That's going to be an interesting feature to actually make work. Because from the tech side of things, I guess we'll be talking more about that
Yeah,
later
no,
on
for sure,
today.
absolutely.
But the harvesting tech is going to play into that. part of
Right.
it, so.
And it's relevant, of course, to seasons because not just the ambience and the audio changes, but the assets that are available and spawn those change as well. And those have actual economic implications when it comes to the world economy. So yeah, that's super cool. Well, talk to me a little bit about kind of how you blend the work between setting up these zones, these biomes for the seasonal aspects, and working with design to determine which assets spawn when, how it's affected potentially by time of day, and a little bit about working with design on setting up these biomes filled with different types of gatherables, essentially, and how it's affected by seasons, right? They have
Well,
cycles, essentially.
There's going to be different types of plants, different types of
Right.
foliage that you can harvest during certain times of the year.
Yeah.
Brian, I guess you're probably going to be plugging that tech into all the harvestable assets in the sense
Yeah.
that you might get a certain plant in winter, but you're not going to get it during
Right.
another time where weather might affect
Right,
that.
and we
all
saw a
those
little bit
things.
about that, not just with the assets, but also with the creatures as well.
Correct.
Yeah, and what went into making the creatures kind of change, with the seasons?
Actually, it's not as difficult as it sounds.
Wait, don't say that. It's very difficult. No, I'm just
very complex. We can't give away the secrets.
Yeah, I can't give away the secrets.
It's probably hard for the guys at Epic to like put it on the engine, but we just kind of every material, every object has access to wind, direction, speed, time of year, time of day. It's up to the artist to just kind of tap into these accessible variables and say, make this color in the summer, a different color in winter. It gets complicated when you start putting in more dynamics with like, we want a storm in this area to slowly move across the world and it has gameplay implications and all the clients know if they're in a storm or not. And to that whole like process of working with designers on how to like integrate what we can do, what they want to do, I have to have like, here's the ambitious goal, what everyone's talking about, but we've got a fallback just in case. I need like a fallback plan.
A scale of achievability.
But push the really ambitious thing that's going to blow everyone's, like, blow the socks off.
Right.
And we usually hit the ambitious ones, so.
Yeah. Somehow, some way, it always works out.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, you have to think about kind of all of these things from an audio perspective where essentially you're layering on these different sounds. And when does it become too much? If I've got a storm coming, I'm in combat with 10 creatures, I've got players around me with abilities and effects, and I got dynamic music.
A great code team, and we're also using Audio Kinetics audio engine. Both those things with the code team and the audio engine will allow us to do some really cool dynamic mixing that we'll get to choose what needs to be in focus. When you're in the storm, you're going to hear the storm, but if combat's coming on and bigger things that need to be focused on, those are going to kind of come up while the storm will go down. So it's going to be all kinds of priorities like that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, with that being said, we are going to be moving over into our discussion about combat. And I want to thank you guys for joining us and chatting a little bit about the seasons and what it takes to actually make this stuff exist in game. So awesome job, guys, and we will be seeing you in just a second.
Overall, I think the environment will be a huge driving point for Ashes of Creation. The audio, the music, just the way everything changes, I think it's going to be great, and overall, I'm very excited for Ashes of Creation. Hopefully, it delivers, and, definitely excited.